Hello, hello, hello. My name is Slayer G, and welcome to the channel. Today, we will be reviewing probably one of the craziest movies to ever be put to film. Definitely the craziest movie that could be released in 2023. That movie, of course, being Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Let that sink in for a little bit. So, let's start off with some backstory here for this movie. Uh, Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, and all those characters associated with them entered the public domain here in the United States in 2022. That's important because it is still technically protected by copyright claim in other countries. So that's an interesting lawsuit to get around. But so Christopher Robin and them entered public domain, and what did they decide to do? Let's make a horror movie with these characters. And well, I think a lot of people when they first heard of this thought it was just gonna be some fan edit fake movie, wasn't actually gonna be released. Uh, and then it got a lot of buzz, and it ended up getting a theatrical release here in the United States as a Fathom event. And in this video, we shall discuss whether it'll be worth your time. Now, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna personally recommend it, but I'm gonna lay down my thoughts and opinions on why you should make your own thoughts and opinions based on what I said. We might talk some spoilers, but the plan isn't really to talk spoilers here today. I'll issue a spoiler warning if we do end up talking spoilers. But the best way to do this is by using my ranking system. I am going to rank this and all future movies I review here on the channel by the spectrum of Hot Pockets to hand grenades. Now, you may be thinking, what the fuck does that mean? And it's quite simple, really. The best way to put it is that, let's say you got that hot pocket. You're expecting something nice, warm, comfortable, and you're not expecting much. It's just like, if it's there, you'll have it, but I won't go seeking out for it. That is like your hot pocket movie. Like, they are good movies, but I'm not going to go out of my way to go see them, right? Meanwhile, you got your hand grenades, which are the absolutely explosive, dynamic, fun movies that you will seek out because you're a crazy person. And then we have the in-between, which is the hot pocket hand grenade. That is the rating you do not want on this channel. The hot pocket hand grenade is that movie where you're expecting something a little warm and good, and then you bite into it and all of a sudden it's cold, it's hard, it's steel, and then it just blows up in your face. Those are the absolute worst, and those are the ones that I will always recommend you stay away from. But now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're splitting this up into 5 sections here: story, cinematics, directing, acting, and my personal expectation / experience of the movie. This is where we're gonna have some fun. So let's start off with story. The story for this movie is quite simple. Winnie the Pooh is a murderer. And that's about it. There's not much to the main plot. As a matter of fact, I got a little confused on the main plot. But to be fair, it's a slasher movie. The plot is bad guy kills people and maybe dies at the end. I'm not sure, I haven't seen that many slashers. But this is your typical B-rated, like, B-movie slasher flick. You're mostly there to see the grotesque deaths that they implement. What's fun about this movie is that it's pretty much an all-female cast, except for Christopher Robin and a few hillbillies. But it's funny because every single person in this cast fits at least one horror movie trope. In this main group of characters here that we follow throughout the film, there is the one who's had a recent traumatic experience that they need to do a getaway for. And then there's the close friend who may or may not secretly have a crush on the previous one, who was our main protagonist, the one who had a traumatic experience, who may or may not have a crush on the person who had a traumatic experience and decides to make this getaway for them. And they decide to set up the getaway and invite all the friends. Then there is your couple who are in the middle of a fight for some reason. There is the absolute bait, like the best way to put it is that Instagram model who thinks she's all that, but not really. That one who just takes pictures, posts to Instagram is that real like influencer vibe type. And then there's the last one, which is the always late, super distracted character. One key character trope that for some reason was missing in this film is, you know how usually in most horror movies there's like that character, there's the token horror movie trope where there's a black character and they always happen to die first. There is none of that in this movie. It's the only horror movie trope that I noticed that they left out, and I'm like, okay, I guess save some for the sequel, I guess, which by the way is greenlit. But pretty much the story follows these people as they get on a getaway because she is scared of something that I would tell you, but it's not really a spoiler and I don't really remember, so it doesn't matter. I think it was like a stalker. But in terms of the story is not really there for you. So in that case, I'm gonna have to lean a little more towards the hot pocket side of the spectrum. But in reality, what you're looking for in this movie is what we're discussing now, which is the cinematics. Zooey Mama are the cinematics fantastic. The cinematography is way better for a movie of its budget, and the music was intense, it was terrifying, it did everything right to put you, like, make you scared. Unfortunately, this is where it gets funny, because due to the fact that you are still watching Winnie the Pooh be the killer, it's really distracting when it's playing the super intense music and then all of a sudden it plays that jump scare sound effect and go, whoa, and you're supposed to jump and be scared, and then you just see Winnie the Pooh's face, which is fucking hilarious. But in terms of cinematics, that's leaning towards that hand grenade side, that explosive energy that you will want to keep, you'll get addicted to because of how engaging and energetic it is. It is phenomenally well crafted in a cinematic perspective, which is insane due to the fact that when I saw this with a few buddies of mine, the first question one of them asked when we left the theater was, what is the budget on this movie? He said, I don't think it's more than $100,000. And then we checked, and the exact thing on Google that it said was 100,000 with the less than sign, and it was so funny. But now, moving on to part number 3 of our amazing review is the directing. Directing, pretty solid, actually. Some of the shots were a little weird, but in terms of the craft and how they probably didn't have the gear to keep the shots consistent, it makes perfect sense on how they did it. I don't really mind the directing. It was pretty good for what it was. I'm pretty sure this guy was a first-time director. The guy wrote, directed, edited, did so much for this movie, and honestly, this guy deserves all the props. And I hope this movie makes some good money because he's earned it for making this fantastic movie, in my opinion. It is definitely something. But I don't have enough to say about the directing, so let's move on to part number 4, the acting. Yeah, this was the weakest part of the film. It was very tonally inconsistent at points, but honestly, it doesn't distract much because you're only watching it really for the cinematics. The guy who portrayed Pooh, and I don't remember the trailers, so I'm gonna tiny maybe spoiler. Piglet. I believe Piglet is in the trailers as well. Pooh and Piglet are expertly portrayed as these psycho murderers, but then all the like characters with actual lines aren't really that interesting. We'll get into spoilers a little later, but first we're gonna talk about. But in terms of acting, it's more of a hot pocket grade, like that one-time watch. Like you're not gonna seek it out because of its acting. So, and on the contrary, I guess directing is that hand grenade. Let's keep it going. I got a little sidetracked there. Next, we have the 5th and final category on which we are going to end this review on, and that is the expectations and experience behind it. The ease, if you will. Every movie is made or broken on the experience based on your expectations of the film. And my expectations is that this wasn't going to be the best acted film. I didn't expect it to be super well directed. The quality, I didn't expect great costumes. I didn't expect great settings. I was expecting a cheap B horror movie. And I got exactly what I expected, except it was so much fucking fun to watch. It was a phenomenal experience to witness, and it is 100% worth the watch, in my opinion, from what I experienced, which was with a bunch of friends. This movie is definitely one that I wouldn't see alone. Definitely a buddies movie. But in terms of my expectations and an experience, that's a hand grenade score right there. So, let's get into maybe a tiny little spoiler talk. Big spoiler warning flashing now here. I just don't understand some of the acting choices. Like, pretty much the whole cast dies. And then, so Christopher Robin is held captive for like 90% of the movie. And then all of a sudden, the main crew that we are following for a good chunk of the film finds him and rescues him. And then he builds like this instant attachment to them, even though they've known each other for 5 seconds. And then by the end of the movie, Christopher Robin like sacrifices himself for them, but he's only really known them for 10 minutes because they met him like at least 10 to 20 minutes before earlier in the movie. And so it's kind of weird how emotionally attached they got in the like also 5 seconds of screen time they all shared. So that was a little weird. And I guess that's spoiler, but to be fair, I don't think anyone's really caring about spoilers for this film. But in terms of that, all of that, where does it fall on the spectrum? It falls at the hand grenade side. It's a certified hand grenade. I've got all my buddies after we finished watching the movie and we were meeting outside and we were chatting about it. No one had anything negative to say about the experience because they all loved the experience. If you're looking for an actual like, oh, how many stars out of 5? I'm giving it a straight up 5 out of 5 stars. But that is a 5 out of 5 stars on the hand grenade side of the spectrum, which means it is worth a rewatch, at least every once in a while. That is all I have for you today. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed this commentary, which I highly doubt you will, and be sure to subscribe if you want to tune in for more. My goal is to do one of these every week at least. I'm going to be doing this for every new movie I see from here on out. And be sure to follow me on Letterboxd if you want to see more reviews. And just like that, we're out.